Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Office, and we're gonna try this me talking about my chapter 14 with you, and hopefully this will be a way for me to point out the most important things that you should know that are in the curriculum, and hopefully will set you up for going further in biology in future studies. And I know there's no diploma, but I don't know what your assessment will look like in the future. There's a lot of answers we don't have right now, but I will just focus today on the male reproductive system. And so this is the little video I hope you have a chance to go through. I will be making it as brief as possible and focusing on the most important things. So starting at the top, the gametes are the male and female sperm and egg, and they do have 23 chromosomes each, which is why they can during fertilization turn into a 46 chromosome zygote, which is the first cell of life that will keep reproducing to make the whole organism. In terms of the human, we have 46 chromosomes in every single cell in the body, except for these two, sperm and egg. Primary sex characteristics, things that are parts that are involved in reproduction, would be testes and penis for the male, and ovaries and uterus for the female. All of the other structures affected by hormones during puberty and characteristics that show up during puberty would be secondary sex characteristics. And that would be things like body hair or deeper voice or breast development. So you should know that. Male structures. We did talk about this a little bit on the last day we were together, but basically questions that you'll see as you work through some diploma questions in the future in terms of male structures would be, what are the accessory organs, and what is the pathway of sperm to first of all be formed and leave the male body. So we talked about how it's the little tubules in the testes where sperm are formed in the seminiferous tubules. Then the sperm go to the epididymis area to mature, and when sperm leave the body, they go from the epididymis through the vas deferens or ductus deferens, and as they pass by right here past the accessory glands, they will be in the ejaculatory duct. Now at that time, secretions from the prostate, which are alkaline secretions, will go into and surround the sperm, and that's to sort of protect them from acidic conditions, even in the urethra as well as in the female. Also, seminal vesicle has some food for the sperm, some fructose that goes into the semen, and then we've got the Cowper's gland, also alkaline fluid. So those three will add to what's collectively known as semen. That's sperm plus the fluid, and all of that can leave through the urethra of the male. So those are reproductive structures. You'll notice in the male, the bladder and the elimination of urine will also be going through this same pathway and through the urethra. And in the female, you'll notice that it is separate structures for the urinary system, excretory system, and reproductive system. We're going to move on to sperm-producing structures and talk about how the testes are physically a little bit away from the body in order to stay a couple of degrees lower in temperature compared to the 37-degree body temperature. At around 35 degrees, that's optimal for sperm production. And I think I talked about all the other important things there. This picture is showing you what the tubules are structured like. These tubules are all connecting to send their sperm to the epididymis, and then they can go out here through the vas deferens. If you look at this one little seminiferous tubule cross section, that is what that is. And I have to say, I have not seen a diploma that does not have a picture of a cross section of a seminiferous tubule, because they like to ask questions about how the sperm start out as a 46 chromosome body cell on the edge, and they develop, and as cell division happens, which is a future chapter 16, those sperm will then end up being 23 chromosome sperm, with these yellow things in the picture are their tails. So they form towards the center, like in all of these tubules. They form towards the center, and when their tail is fully grown and they're all formed, they will swim up into the epididymis, where they take their swimming lessons. Okay, for a couple of days, that's what they do there. These 3 glands we've talked about, seminal vesicles, will be giving the fructose. Just to repeat, prostate gland, kind of the size of a golf ball, is providing the alkaline fluid, so that will help them survive. And the Cowper's glands, one on each side there, same as seminal vesicles, one on each side. Those are also alkaline. So alkaline fluids from Cowper's, alkaline fluid from prostate, and fructose, sugar, which is an energy supply for the sperm. They have a long way to go. They have a lot of mitochondria that's going to help them make the ATP in order to keep their tail swimming to where they need to go. So those are all essential fluids that will join the sperm and form semen. Front view of the male. I guess here you can see how there are the 2 testes, there's the epididymis, there's the vas deferens or ductus deferens. You can see seminal vesicles on both sides. This is one prostate cross-section. We see Cowper's gland on both sides, and how the path of sperm would go as the sperm leaves the male. The next thing about sperm is just looking at their structures. What this picture here is the cross-section of that seminiferous tubule. So you see the 46 chromosome cells would be here, and as they develop, those cells kind of move down towards the center, and that little sperm here is starting to grow a tail. When it's all formed, it's free and detaches and swims away. The head of the sperm is covered by this acrosome, and that acrosome, it contains enzymes so that it can, with many of its friends, it needs about 500 of them, to knock against the egg and actually dissolve into the protective layer around the egg. So if the egg was here, there would be this thick zona pellucida layer around it, and so it takes many, many sperm heads full of enzymes to knock against this egg sort of protective layer before one of them will actually get in and tunnel in far enough to fertilize the egg that's protected inside. So the acrosome contains those enzymes, and that's an important part of the sperm. The mid-piece is the area where you'd find a lot of mitochondria that can do cellular respiration and make all of the ATP necessary to keep the flagella moving that sperm to where it needs to go as it's headed towards the egg. Alrighty. The word spermatogenesis is one we're going to see again in chapter 16, because it means that the sperm is developing, as I mentioned here. And as it's developing, it's actually going through a process of meiosis, which is cell division that is going to end up with a 23 chromosome sperm at the end. It just says that there are about 1 billion sperm that are formed every day, and that they are maturing in the epididymis, which I mentioned. All of these pictures are, again, the cross-section of those seminiferous tubules. They're all packed in together. This is one here, an actual microscope picture of how you can see the cells at the edge would be the 46 chromosome cells. And as you get closer to the center, you see that these are sperm's tails, and they look really wispy. And this is the area that they would like swim up as they go towards the epididymis. Incidentally, all of these areas in between are full of cells called interstitial cells, the in-between cells. And in a future topic, we'll talk about how all of those in-between cells, interstitial cells, are the ones that make the hormone testosterone. In case you wondered where that came from, it also came from the testes, but in the tubules, sperm are produced, and in the interstitial cells, testosterone is produced. Alrighty, we are going to just wrap up today. These other terms that you can look over, erection and ejaculation and infertility, where sperm are absolutely not able to be formed, impotence. There may be some therapies for that. Watching sperm swim, those are videos you can take a look at. You guys can look through the rest of those. And I guess for kind of our goal for today, Monday, is to fill in our notes for this part on the male, and I will be assigning like the first 7 diploma questions that are about the male, and we're going to keep things simple. The main important information I'll highlight in our little notability videos that I'm making, and assign the most important questions for you to review with. This is the last thing I guess we'll look at for right now, and that's the feedback loop that for most of you is kind of familiar from what we've already done in chapter 13, but it will be the GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone feedback loop, and looking how the anterior pituitary actually makes LH and FSH, and FSH is the one that will cause sperm to be produced, whereas the LH is the one that will cause those interstitial cells to make testosterone. And this is entirely the male feedback loop, which is going to be a topic coming up, but I thought I'd throw in just one little slide after we've talked about the male a little bit, just to give you a look at the feedback loop coming up. You have a lot of videos interspersed in here you guys can take a look at, and I hope that you can kind of go through my little talk, and that it works out to be clear information. If you have any feedback, you can let me know, but I'm really hoping that you guys stay tuned to Google Classroom, and when I pop on a little quizzes for you, that you take advantage of that chance to review the concepts before we move on, because there will be a new topic every day, and some days where you will just do quizzes. Keep taking your little, do some study sheet notes to keep a record of your learning. That'll be a really great thing to do. And I hope you are all healthy and doing good. And just wanted to let you know that I miss you all, and we will talk again soon. Bye-bye.